Little backstory. I grew up in a very religious home. We went to church, non-denominational, 2 to 3 times per week. I always questioned what I was being taught, and when I was in 6th grade and going to a Christian school, I realized I was agnostic. I live in the Bible Belt, so it's difficult having my beliefs, or lack thereof. Despite my family all being religious, they have all respected my beliefs. Not just mine, but my daughters, ages 8 and 9, dad, who is an atheist, as well. Everyone except my mother. A couple years ago we told her she could no longer take the girls to church. We felt they were being indoctrinated, and both were starting to deny science. She argued with us but realized how serious we were. She knew if she took them to church after a sleepover, she would be risking being able to see them and be in their life. Little did I know, she had been having Bible study with the girls on nights they would spend the night with her. Maybe every 3 weeks or so, the girls would have a sleepover with her. The girls had a sleepover with her this past Saturday. She brought them home to me Sunday afternoon. My fiancé and I were asking them if they had fun, what did they do, etc. My 8-year-old then said, "I got baptized." Excuse me, what? I remained calm because I didn't want her to think she was in trouble or did something wrong. I asked her whose idea that was. She said mine. Okay, so I asked a few more questions and realized she had the idea because she was told if she were to die, she'd go to hell. She was terrified. So, my mom baptized my baby. My daughter said my mom asked the questions and everything before the baptism, like do you accept Jesus into your heart? I was truly blown away by what she had done. It was such a breach of mine and their dad's trust, and she had crossed a huge line. I sent a group text to my mom and the girl's dad with the following. I don't know why I'm shocked, but I'm actually blown away by your enormous breach in trust. You crossed a huge line. You know how Ken and I feel about religion. And for poor Emmy, to have the belief she will die and go to hell if she doesn't get baptized. Putting that thought in her head is child abuse, no other way to look at that. My heart is broken for the girls because I know how difficult and confusing it's going to be for them to not see you anymore, but I absolutely cannot trust you with them anymore. My ex followed up with this. My name is speaking for both of us on this. I am heartbroken that you have forced us into having to do this. So, am I overreacting? Is this going to be more harmful to my children who have a relationship with her? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She breached your trust and knew exactly what would happen if she did it again. She's only getting the exact consequence that she was warned of. Telling a child if they aren't baptized they'll go to hell is just cruel. Religion should not be dependent on the fear of what will happen if people don't follow. I would talk to your girls about religion. Maybe have a culture night at the house once a week where you learn about new religions and explore what they believe. That way you can educate your daughter that not everyone believes the same thing and that religion is meant to cast fear into the believers. That is a huge betrayal of your trust, and I'm sorry this happened. She's now badly sabotaged her relationship with you and your kids whom she probably loves. Maybe frame it for your kids that trust is a hard thing to repair and that their grandmother made a decision that made it hard for you to trust her. I think kids their age have a good concept of hiding things or lying being a breach of trust if you lay it out for them in that way. I don't know whether your plan is for no contact ever again, but I think at this point you can lay out that you have lost trust and that will be hard to rebuild and will take a long time. What a terrible decision. Not the idiot. This is a huge deal. I'm also an atheist with a mother who is uber religious. If my mother pulled this crap with my daughter, I don't think I would have been as compassed as you were. I probably would have driven to her house and drop-kicked her. I haven't really talked to my daughter about religion. I want her to figure out her own stuff and come to her own conclusions. But I've had to have the conversation with her a couple of times about how I vehemently disagree with her grandmother about that kind of stuff. I think you need to have a little sit down with your kiddos. I met my wife when we were in college, from the United Kingdom, think high school if you're from the United States, at the age of 17. We both fell very hard for each other. We were young and idiots, and I accidentally got her pregnant. Everyone around us, including our parents, told us parenting was great and that we were such strong people that we could do it. So, we decided to keep the baby. We had a beautiful little girl, and we loved her with all our hearts. However, we were 18 at the time. We had no money, were struggling to get jobs, and we had no idea how difficult a kid would be. Our parents turned sour once the baby was born, telling us we were stupid and they wouldn't help us. After 7 months of struggling financially and mentally, we put our wonderful daughter up for adoption and she was taken from us. I don't like to think or talk about this time. As you can imagine, it was the worst thing in the world. I never have and never will go through anything worse, but we knew she deserved a better life than we could give her. The family did not want to tell her she was adopted until she was much older, so we haven't seen or heard from our baby girl since then. We got through it together. We are both 29 now. We both redid our A-levels, went to uni, married at 24, and are now financially stable and own a house together. Last night I decided to ask her if she thought she wanted to have children with me. It went 0-100 real quick. She screamed and she sobbed. She told me I was a horrible man, and how could I even suggest having kids after what happened. I told her I understood it was difficult to think of, but it has been a while, and we are equipped to be parents now, but she insisted that I was an idiot for even suggesting we replace our daughter. So, am I the idiot? No idiots here. You two made the 100% correct decision. But you are in a different place now and are ready. It's different. I assume maybe she hasn't dealt with it as well as you have. She carried the baby for 9 months and loved her for 7 and obviously beyond. She probably feels guilty that if she has another kid it would be like replacing the one you already had. Did you talk about this before marriage? Because it is sort of a big deal. No idiots here. The question about whether to have more children is a rational and reasonable conversation to have with your wife. And you were simply raising it as a possibility. Obviously she was way more distressed about it than you could have predicted, and she was upset because she thought you should have known how distressing it would be. You do need to have the conversation about whether you ever want to have children, even if her answer is a hard no. Therapy would probably really help you work this one out because there's obviously still a lot of pain there. No idiots here. It sounds like your wife may still need counseling to deal with the loss of your daughter. It's a bit like the grief at a death, but more ongoing because she knows she is out there somewhere. She probably feels like a failure as a mother, and society is very judgmental of that. It also sounds like she lost trust in her family too when they didn't step up to help you guys. My 42 husband, 44, and I have been married for 21 years. We have 2 adult children, 22 and 24, one is in college out of state and the other is in the Navy. When we first got married, my husband was in Navy and we spent the first 10 years of our marriage moving from place to place, wherever his new duty station was. I found it hard to make friends and I could not keep a job, so I made a difficult decision and decided to be a stay-at-home mom. When he got out of the Navy 11 years ago, he took a job and we moved. 3 years in, he got offered a job in another part of the company, however, it was in another state, so we moved again. We stayed there for 6 years. I went back to college and got my degree and began looking for work. I found a job I liked in my field, and 6 months into working, he said he was offered a job with a new company and wanted to take it, but that would mean we would be moving almost 2,000 miles from where we were in a new state. I reluctantly agreed because the new state would have more job opportunities for me and we would be closer to our family, which is something that we have not had in many years. Last night my husband came up to me and said that there was a job opening in his company and he wanted to apply for it. It would mean a pay raise and better hours, but the caveat would be that we have to move again. We have been living in our new state for 3 years. I love it here. I have an amazing job and I am making great money. I finally have friends and am able to socialize. I told him that I am not moving again. Anytime we have to move, he always leaves first and I end up being responsible for selling and packing the house, and I am not doing that again. Our son's college is only 2 hours from here, we can see him twice a month. If we move, that means we would have at least a day's drive and would only be able to do that once or twice a year. Now my husband is upset with me and guilt-tripping me because he claims I do not support him. I told him that was BS because I spent most of my life moving from place to support his career. He told me that I am selfish and he is just trying to provide for us. I told him that we are more than comfortable where we are now and that if he truly wants to take the job, he will be going alone. Am I the idiot for refusing to move again? Not the idiot. He's become accustomed to always getting it his own way with very little pushback. Now that's not just happening, he's trying to guilt and flip it around on you. Stand your ground. It's going to be tough because there's been a pattern over years which he will be loath to give up, but it's now or never for you. Polish that backbone. We work to live. We don't live to work. It sounds like you've achieved happiness where you are, and that is a wonderful achievement that you ought not discard in the pursuit of your or your husband's financial aspirations. Your marriage is a partnership, not a dictatorship. The questions that you and your husband need to be asking are, where do you want to spend the next 20 years? Where do you want to retire? If things stayed the way they are, can you live comfortably in retirement? Relationships should work both ways. 50% of your life has been spent sacrificing both your happiness and career for his benefit. He's never had to do the same for you, nor does it sound like he would. If you had an opportunity to land your dream job that required you to move to another state, I would almost guarantee that your husband would refuse to move. So don't feel even a little bit guilty that you're putting yourself first for once, since he never has. My boyfriend, 37, has 2 daughters. A 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. We've been dating for about 3 years now. I get along well with the younger daughter, and she and I'm kind of like a big sister auntie to her. The older daughter does not like me and makes it clear that she would rather her father not date me or anyone else from what I gather. Boyfriend and his ex share custody, and this year, since my boyfriend had them for Christmas, I got them both presents, got them both necklaces. 10-year-old was very excited and happy with her gift. 13-year-old got huffy and said she didn't want anything from me and refused to accept the gift. 10-year-old also opened 13-year-old's gift after she refused to accept it, and I could tell that she did like what I got her. I decided to keep it for myself. Fast forward to today, 13-year-old calls and she wants the necklace. She didn't apologize for her rude behavior from before or anything, which I honestly don't care too much about. She asked me to give it to her since it's hers and you already bought it. I told her that it wasn't hers since she refused to accept the gift and that I'm not going to give it back to her. She got upset and complained to my boyfriend, who told her it was up to me whether or not I wanted to give her the gift anymore. Am I being too harsh on her? My sister thinks I'm just making my own life more difficult by not just giving it to her. Is it petty of me? Am I the idiot for refusing to give a gift that I did buy for her? Not the idiot, but you are dealing with a 13-year-old child. Be the adult. Use this as an opportunity to grow the relationship. Tell her you spent time picking it out for her. Give it to her, no strings attached, maybe even wrap it up again. Then smile, tell her it looks better on her than you even thought. If you wish for a long-term positive relationship, then take every opportunity to reduce the drama and build the relationship. Not the idiot. You're setting boundaries with how she can treat you. If you were to just give it to her without letting her know what a jerk she was, she'll just keep trying to push you around. I think this would be a good learning opportunity where you can sit down and let her know how rude she was both with accepting the gift and demanding it back. Depending on how that conversation goes, you could give her the necklace. But I also think if you don't want to do that, that's totally fine too, and she'll still learn a lesson. Everyone's the idiot here and not the idiot. You can't expect a 13-year-old girl to not be pissy at you. It's just how it goes when parents split up and one kid isn't happy about it. She shouldn't be treating you this way, but there's no way you can ever hope your relationship with her will be more than what it is now unless you practice being kind to her no matter what. The necklace isn't a big deal, her sister has one, and I'm sure she feels left out and really does care about you. She just can't show it because of her anger with her parent situation. She'll grow out of it. Give her the necklace and try to talk this out face to face with her before you give it to her. My boyfriend's parents passed away in an accident about 6 months ago. He was their only son and obviously this was extremely devastating for him, to put it lightly. Me and my family supported him heavily, and he took an extended leave of absence from work, which he's still on. We are both 22 and been together for 3 years now. He obviously was extremely depressed and crying all day for months. I tried my best to always be there for him, and I moved in with him for a few months to help him out. I also got him set up with a therapist, and he's been seeing her frequently. The thing is, progress is very slow. We haven't been on a date since the accident. Love life is almost non-existent because he can't stay hard and he's crying a lot still and is depressed most of the time. He works out still and we go on runs together, but other than that he's curled up in bed watching Netflix and crying and eating. I'm trying to help so much, I look after him like he's my son basically now, and it's super emotionally and physically draining. The only love contact I've had with him is going down on him and him finishing quick and rolling over and sleeping. I get that he's extremely depressed still about his parents' deaths, and I try and cheer him up daily and check in on him, make sure he's seeing his therapist, come over to his place almost daily. And I just feel like a caregiver now and not his girlfriend. With all this in mind and weeks of thinking about how to end things, I did last night. I went over to his place and said I can't be with him like this, I need to feel loved and taken care of as well, which hasn't happened at all in 6 months and I feel burnt out. I've never seen a 22-year-old man cry this much, but he started crying, so much he puked and begged me to stay, but I know I had to end it. I told him that I'll be here for him still, and he's always welcome to come to me or my parents for help, but I just can't be in a romantic relationship with him anymore. It was extremely difficult to do and I still do love him, but I just know I can't take this for much longer and will end up hating him. I know this sounds cold, but it's the only way I could have done this. I feel terrible, but needed to do what's best for my happiness. I made sure he had his therapist app set for another few months and told him to discuss this with her. He just sat there motionless and I left. When I got home, my parents supported my decision, but my sister, who's 2 years older, thought I was the devil and said that was the biggest idiot move she's ever heard of. I mean, I know it was cold, but I couldn't do this anymore. Am I the idiot? No idiots here, you need to look after yourself as well. It is not like you haven't supported him through it all, you clearly showed you cared about him, made sure to look after him and support him, but at a certain point you also have to start thinking about yourself and what is best for you. If you are afraid you will end up hating him or simply cannot support him while being his girlfriend anymore, it is totally fair to break up with him. You have done nothing wrong, but neither has he. You're the idiot. It's only been 6 months since he lost essentially his entire family. He has no siblings to turn to. He has no one but you for support. Yes, progress is slow. Grieving is slow. Grieving isn't a limited time, people grieve for many different periods of time. The first half of the story makes it sound like you just want love. How would you feel if your SO left you because your grieving process is too slow and that you are depressed due to an extremely traumatic event in your life? You would probably feel like you've literally lost everyone. No idiots here. It's extremely sad that he lost his parents. Devastating, I'm sure. That said, you are not married and you have not committed to be his caretaker forever. I'm sure it was heart-wrenching to come to this decision, but you have to have your needs met too. There is no guarantee this relationship was going to last forever, even before the accident, and it's okay to do what you need to do for yourself, even though it is going to hurt him. I'm sorry for both of your pain.